Welcome everyone to the second game of the fourth round of the FIDE World Cup 2025. The first game between Dubov and Praggnanandhaa was an absolute stunner with so many tactics, so many moments, but it ended peacefully at the end. And this time Dubov has the white pieces. Now, my feeling is that Dubov will go for something that is very solid and just draw the game and go into the tiebreaks, because that is where he feels he is not weaker than any of the players in this field. Now let's see how Dubov plays here. He opens the game with pawn to d4, and Praggnanandhaa takes his time before making his first move like he does always and brings his knight out to f6. The chess sets, by the way, that are used in this tournament on some of the top boards are the same ones that are used in the World Championship matches before. I believe for the next World Championship match they might have different sets. So now these ones are being used in the other FIDE events. d5 played and pawn to c4. We have Queen's Gambit on the board and Praggnanandhaa declines it with e6. Will it be a Catalan with pawn to g3? No, Dubov goes for knight to c3. Normal chess, and Prag can play in many different ways here. Bishop e7, c6, c5, a6, dc4. I mean, there are many, but he goes for bishop b4, which is known as the Ragozin variation, and it's also very active line because it's a mixture of Queen's Gambit declined and Nimzo Indian. So bishop g5 played here by Dubov. Bishop b4, bishop g5, and you take on c4, and Dubov goes for this kind of main line with e4. This has been played a lot before, and Prag quickly attacks on c5. Now you must remember that e5 is usually met with takes, queen a5 business. There's also h6 sometimes, but he takes on c4 with the bishop. And now c takes d4 taken. Dubov goes, I'm pretty sure he'll take with the knight. Knight takes d4. And now if you go queen a5 directly, I can drop my bishop back to d2. Which is the reason why first Prag takes on c3, giving his opponent a weakness on c3. He has to take with the pawn. And now queen a5 to attack the bishop and the pawn, which is a very interesting move. And let's see how white responds. Bishop b5 is the main move in this position, but Dubov goes for knight b5, which is also played before. The most famous game being Vishy Anand versus Magnus versus Vishy. I think it was Norway Chess 2019. Knight e4 taken. Now notice there's no mate here. The queen controls it, but queen d4 attacks g7 and e4, and Prag, who's taking his time for his moves, he's at, after this castling move, he's at 123, and Dubov has all his time intact here. So Dubov says, thank you so much for the piece. And how does black recover the piece? Well, there's only one way to do it, that is pawn to a6. Once the knight moves, you can pick up this bishop. So let's say, for example, knight d4, you could even take on c3. So that doesn't really work. White castles, and Prag now going for a takes b5. Yes, he takes here, and he's a pawn up, if you notice. But what white has in return are the bishop pair, and also the slight initiative, because he's attacking on h7, threatening mate. Black pieces are still undeveloped. f5 played, attacking the queen. The queen can drop back here to e2. And now taking another pawn would be too risky here. Rook a c1 takes here. e6 is weak. So calmly plays bishop d7. By the way, the Vishy game was knight c6. But bd7 protects this bishop d2 to defend, maybe threaten the move c4 here. Queen comes back to c7. Now, if you take here on b5, then I can take, queen takes and knight c6, and black has no issues. So what Dubov is trying to do is keep these two bishops on the board on d3 and d7 and hope that he can claim something, that this pawn is weak. I'm putting pressure here like he does here, pawn to c4. So not giving black the opportunity to push forward with e5 here, takes on c4, and now bishop takes c4. He takes the pawn, pinning the pawn on e6. And knight comes out to c6, just developing here. And rook a to c7. King h8 looks normal with the idea of pushing forward with e5. But Pragg plays queen to d6. And maybe I would say white has something to play for here. Look at these two bishops, quite active. Rook a d1 coming in, putting pressure here. And Pragg plays knight to a5. Makes sense. He attacks the bishop here. And rook a d1. So here if queen c7, you can go bishop e5. If you take here, d7 is hanging. So he goes queen e7. And now the best move is bishop d5. Taking advantage of this pin, putting pressure here, rerouting the bishop to f3, keeping the bishop pair. But Dubov goes for a slightly flashy move, rook takes d7. And in a way, you can say it's a draw for. You can see Praggnanandhaa also has relaxed a bit, because now with this, there will be multiple simplifications. Rook takes e6, rook takes, and queen takes on e6, takes, rook takes. Now, okay, white has a bishop, black has a knight, and if given a move, white would love to play rook e7, but Pragg comes back to c6, stopping here, attacking the a2 pawn. Rook comes to e2. And Pragg now, after some thought, pushes his pawn to b5. Rook comes to b2. And now pawn to b4. Just attacking the bishop here. Dubov chops off the pawn. And it is simplification time. Knight takes b4. Rook takes b4 and rook a2. Pragg chops off the final pawn. We are on move 30 exactly. Draw offer made, draw agreed, and Pragg and Dubov now go into the tie breaks. Rapid blitz. It's going to be a lot of fun. I believe Dubov is happy with this result. Pragg also, I mean, he can't complain. He was worse in the first game. In the second game with black, he didn't really have chances. He defended well. He was surprised a bit in the opening. Dubov tried to play something where he could test Pragg a bit, but Pragg was up to the task, and a draw seems like a very fair result. The arbiter says, I'll just do the toss for the tie break, and yeah, there he has two pawns here, and asks Praggnanandhaa which one he would like to choose. And Pragg, well, he chooses the left hand and he has the black pieces. So Pragg will be black in game 1. We will see you tomorrow. 1-1 is the score. Exciting battle lies ahead.